No, excited to be joined by a very special guest. It is Laura Rutledge. Laura, before we talk about a bunch of different things that have happened already this football season, let's start with one of the best parts of football season, honey baked ham. As we've discussed, I am a huge fan. I literally got the honey baked ham
Yes,
helmet in the
let's
background.
go.
Um, tell us about everything you're doing with them and why it's become such a game day essential.
Yeah, I absolutely love this time of year because there's so many great things to talk about with honey baked ham, and tailgating, of course, is the centerpiece of all of that. And this is a little bit rare that this would happen. You just kind of lucked out here. I actually have the take and serve sliders with me today.
Let's
I brought
go.
them to work. This is hilarious. So you're getting video evidence of how great these are. I wanted to show you, and this is really cool because in the past you had to, and there's still some of these sliders that you do bake and they're super easy to make. They're like, takes 20 minutes to bake them. But these you just take directly out of the store and they are delicious. I've got like a really big bacon pull going here. Let me just, okay, there we go. But look at this. You've got the ham, obviously, the signature honey baked ham. You have the oven roasted turkey, bacon, cheddar, all on that soft bread. It's so good. I'm not going to eat it yet. I'm just going to make both of our mouths water, but I'm planning on eating all of these for lunch. So anyway, these are such a hit at tailgates, though. Like everybody loves them. They're great for kids. They're great for anybody who just wants to grab and go and be kind of like roaming around your tailgate. And I think the best part is that, it's so accessible. You can just go into your local honey bake store. You can order online, however you want to pick them up, and they show up great. And just all the slider options are delicious. The take and bake sliders are so good too. They have the garlic butter that's on the top of them, and they just it never fails to be a great thing. And I think too, there's a lot of opportunities. Like if you want to do something really extra special for your tailgate and really surprise people, you can always get one of the bone and half hams from Honey Bake that are that's just sort of synonymous with knowing that you did something extra for your guests, and everybody loves it. So it's a great time of year to celebrate honey baked and tailgating.
We need some honey baked ham, just breaks from SEC Nation. Like once, like the cut to break, and here's this local cuisine that you just all the honey baked ham creations because like it's all right there and just bust out the whole, half ham and just have people just picking at it. Like that seems like
Yeah.
that's got to come to an SEC Nation very, very soon.
I, you know what? I'm going to pitch this and I'm going to give you some credit because we see, it's pretty cool when I go to these campuses. You see people have honey baked at their tailgate. The sliders are obviously a fan favorite, but you will see certainly some of the bone and a half hams. And I'm always like, can I come in and eat a little bit of this? You never get tired of eating this great food. It's so convenient, but it's also delicious, which you just don't see that many things that are like that.
Okay, what is the wildest thing that you have been asked to eat on television that you've either been like,
Ooh.
I'm not doing this, or screw it, let's just do it.
Okay, so this is actually recent. We were at LSU earlier this year in Baton Rouge, and they wanted me to eat alligator. And first of all, I felt like that was cannibalistic because I am a gator, so I didn't feel that was going to be the right thing to do. But also, it seemed like it had been sitting there for a while. I was like, I don't know, I got to keep hosting this show. Like, I don't have time to, maybe have a bathroom break or something. So anyway, I did not partake, but normally I am game to try all sorts of different things. And I've probably eaten some odd things. I did actually eat frog legs on TV one time too. That was also in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, of course.
That Louisiana cooking is always good. But yeah, that's probably the weirdest one. And I did say no.
I would say no too. Frog
Yeah.
legs, come on. There's a line here. Gator's one thing, but if you're a non-gator, that's a different story. But especially one that had been sitting out, I don't blame you one bit for that.
No,
Um,
couldn't do it.
Yeah. Go in whatever direction you want with this. Who are your favorite college football players so far this season? It can either be watching them or players that you've
Yeah.
interviewed that you've just come away with and been like, dang, like, I love watching Ahmad Hardy at Mizzou. I know you guys are going to be at Mizzou this weekend, like Aaron
Yes.
Anderson at LSU, Haynes King, obviously. Like, who have been your favorites so far?
That's a great question. I love John Mateer. I'm really excited to see if he's able to come back for this Texas game. He just plays with such tenacity, but he's also really talented and has this way about him that I think means he's going to be a great leader. Not only we've already seen it in college, but I think he's going to be really good on the next level too. If he gets a chance to play in the NFL, which I think he should. He's been really cool to talk to. Whit Weeks is a favorite of mine. I just think he kind of represents, what it's like to be this defensive guy that just never wants to take a play off, wants to give it all to his team. Those guys are great. I really enjoy talking to Ryan Williams at Alabama. I know at times, there are people who have said he's controversial or whatever it is. I think he is a really interesting young man and has been, I believe, very self-aware about some of the maybe criticisms toward him, but also has let his personality continue to shine through. He's been a real good one to talk to as well. So I would say those three right now. But my goodness, I mean, it's been such an interesting year so far. I realize we're not that far into it, where there's been stars emerge that people maybe didn't see coming, and then some that we thought were going to be stars that haven't necessarily lived up to that yet, but there's still a lot of time, right? It could all change.
What's the worst preseason take that you had that you've already thrown out? I mean, I've had loads of those so far. So like I've discussed it with our audience, but what's one that you're already like, we're bailing on this one. This isn't going to end up
So
pretty good.
that's I really thought that Arch Manning was going to come out of the gates being amazing. And listen, I'm not saying I'm going to totally ditch that take, not because I want to be right. Like I realize I am wrong all the time. But I just still feel like he's going to figure it out. And I feel like Sark's going to figure it out. And maybe it's going to be too late for them to really be a playoff contender, which is a bummer considering, what Sark has built there and really some of the talent they have around him at certain positions. But I don't know. I thought just in what I had seen, I've covered Texas a lot. I watch him in practice, and I know practice is not a game, but I thought he had so much talent and so much ability, and just even in the conversations that I had had with some of their staff, it just felt like they were ready and poised for him to be a big breakout this season, a breakout player this season. So again, there's still time to, maybe redeem some of this, but I am pumping the brakes a little bit on how good I thought he would be right out of the gate.
You were at the Swamp last weekend for that disappointing Arch Manning performance. I was there as well. How much credit do you give that Florida performance to Tebow being able to bust out the tank top, fire up the crowd, and remind us all that not all bicep veins are created equally?
My goodness, that's funny. We that whole thing. Let me peel back the curtain a little bit because Tim is just great. I mean, as much as like if you're a fan of Tim Tebow, I just promise you right now, he's even better than you think he is. Like he is just a gold-hearted person, and he is so wonderful, and he's so funny because he does obviously bleed orange and blue, and it's tough for him to pick against Florida. And we actually had a conversation. I was sitting in this seat last Thursday, I believe it was, and he's like, what can I do? I want to find a way to still give love to Florida, even if I feel like I have to pick Texas. And we were kind of talking back and forth, and it gets to the point where I'm like, what if, Tim, you got to rip your shirt off or something, which like that's not even a normal thing to suggest, but it just felt like that it needed to be something like that. And so that was where we landed. But the funniest thing was, we have a great production team, and they went out and we were like, it needs to be a tank top. So they went out trying to buy a tank top for Tim. And I think the one that he was wearing was like a large or extra large or whatever it was, but it looked like a medium or a medium on him
Yeah.
because he's obviously a big man. And we were laughing so hard. We're like, Tim, you could wear the bigger size. And he's like, no, it needs to be like this because it just accentuated the whole thing. It was better than I even expected it would be. And I do think, listen, I'm not saying the team necessarily saw that, but I think what you felt being in Gainesville, I'm not sure if you felt this too. I felt like there was a bit of a groundswell of confidence amongst Florida fans and amongst just everybody involved. It felt like they were in a position to potentially get that upset win. And I would credit the noise in the swamp, but also a ton of credit goes to DJ Lagway, Billy Napier, and the defense on the other side.
And for what it's worth, aggregators, please do not do the headline. Laura Rutledge convinces Tim Tebow to take shirt off. We don't need that. We like that's not the context of what we're talking about here.
There are great spouses. We do not need that. And it wasn't like that. It was just, we were trying to think of something memorable, and it was memorable. It worked.
Gators join heads to pump up 1-3
There we
Florida team.
go.
That's
I
all
like
that
that.
matters. Yeah.
See, you're so good. That's great.
What's your level of optimism that Florida weathers this storm again and the best version of the Gators comes out? Just always when Billy Napier is dead man walking because that atmosphere, it was second to none and it felt like they were trying to will that team to victory.
It's so interesting how this team, I saw somebody tweet this and I can't remember who it was, so I feel bad not getting credit, but it was like, maybe it was Peter Burns. But it was like, okay, the best teams in college football are this team, this team, this team, and Florida whenever Billy Napier's job is
That
on the
was Saturday
line.
Down
And
South, actually. That was my guy,
it
Will
was,
Ogburn.
okay,
Yeah.
did you
Yeah.
tweet that?
I did not tweet that. That's my
Oh,
co-host Will Ogburn, who was on our
okay, well,
socials on Saturday. So literally us. Yeah.
okay, so that's amazing. I didn't do that on purpose. That's so funny. Sorry, Peter Burns. I didn't mean to like give you credit and take it away, but I'll give it to Saturday Down South. You guys have some great tweets. I really thought that was true when I read it. Like it just I don't know what's going on with this, but it does show that they have a ton of love for their coach and that they realize if they can play better and play beyond, maybe what they even thought they were capable of, then maybe they save his job. And it just seems like it always comes down to that. I will say this, and this is not making excuses for Florida. It's just the reality. Their schedule has been brutal these last 2 years, and that's true. For this year, that was obviously true last year. They were able to finish strong. I think they're capable of a lot. If DJ Lagway can play the way that he played last week against what I believe is a really good Texas defense, then yeah, they're going to be in every game down the stretch. I mean, he can be so dangerous. And there were even times, I'm not trying to say that we were right about this because everybody on SEC Nation picked Texas to win, but there were times that we mentioned in our show, and I believe this. I mean, we saw it on display. DJ Lagway is a guy that's capable of changing games, and we've seen that, right? And then we've also seen the opposite version of that. So it's going to be about maintaining the focus that they had in this game and really continuing to try to protect Billy Napier's job. I mean, you wonder how Florida administration and how even some fans feel if they continue to win. It does sort of give him some security, but there are some people that don't love that. So I was happy for him. I was happy for the way that they pulled this off, and I do think they're capable of maintaining it down the stretch. It just a lot of it, per usual, comes down to the quarterback play.
You're going back to Columbia for Alabama Mizzou. Can you explain the story of Feinbaum pivoting and then convincing your crew to be at the border war for Kansas Mizzou week 2?
Yeah, so that was interesting. We were kind of looking at, options, and we had thought back at SEC Media Days, we're like, man, Missouri's going to be good, and they have a pretty favorable schedule, if you can say that. I mean, the SEC, it's hard to say that, but we're like, okay, we need to go there. And we missed going there a couple years ago or a year ago, whenever it was. So we were trying to find a chance to go. And we saw the Kansas game, and we were going to do something else. I forget what we were doing that week. But anyway, Feinbaum was like, no, we need to go to this game. He said, this is going to be crazy, and the atmosphere is going to be crazy, the border war, all that. And really, a lot of us had never experienced that before. And we walked out of there, we're like, golly, these two fan bases hate each other. I mean, we say that in the SEC. Certainly, we understand rivalries better than really any college football fan does, outside of the league. This is a whole new level of a rivalry. I mean, our crowd, some of the things that people were saying and some of the signs that we were like, oh no, we can't show that on TV. That's not safe for broadcast. But anyway, so yeah, it paid off. It was an incredible atmosphere, great show out for our show. And I'm expecting that again. I think it's going to be another great crowd. And this game, I mean, goodness gracious, for Missouri, they're a team that I think is 100% capable of knocking off maybe more talented opponents. And I'm not taking anything away from Missouri's talent because Eli Drinkwitz has built a great roster. But Alabama's really talented. And Ty Simpson has been playing like one of the best, if not the best quarterback in all of college football. It can be a tough place to play there, and weird things have happened in Como. So I'm expecting this to be a great matchup, and I think the Missouri fans are going to make it pretty tough on Alabama, and the Missouri team make it tough on Alabama.
If you guys are talking storylines in the production meeting for that game, I just want to know the backstory of Ahmad Hardy because the Columbia Daily
Yes.
Tribune wrote like a really good story about his background coming up and he dealt with some tough circumstances growing up as a
Yeah.
kid, but just how this guy is so good already as a sophomore after he
Mm.
spends his freshman year at Louisiana Monroe. Nobody had heard of him. He comes from the SEC geographical footprint. Like if you guys do nothing on Saturday but find out the story of Ahmad Hardy, like I'd be here for it. I
What's
think it's going to be
this?
such an interesting thing to talk about.
Challenge accepted. And it's interesting. We are actually working on a couple of different angles for Ahmad Hardy. So I don't know exactly which ones we're going to do yet. I'm actually talking to our SEC Nation producer after NFL Live today. So I'll get a little bit more details on that. But I can assure you that that investigation is underway. We are going to peel back the curtain on Ahmad Hardy as much as we can, and what an incredible story so far. Like, he is so fun to watch play. I love that you mentioned him as one of your favorite players in the league so far. It's crazy too, because it always feels to me with Missouri. This has been true with, even different coaches back when Gary Pinkel was there. It feels like they get the most out of their talent and more than others expected, and they find these diamonds in the rough. And it's just such a proud program. And Ahmad Hardy is like the latest example of that. Like, where are they finding these people? And they come in and they play great. And watch out for Missouri. They are fully in the mix, I believe, to make a playoff run if things continue to go their way.
You guys are gonna probably do the thing where you go down to the field, right? Like before the game because it's an
Yes.
11 a.m. kick. So you're gonna
Yes.
have all the live shots that are right there.
Oh yeah, the whole last part of our show on Saturday will be like the last hour of our show will be inside the stadium, which is super fun.
Have you like what are those like have you had like a realization like when you guys transitioned down to the field where you've like had to step back and you've seen something completely differently and been like, oh my God, like I didn't realize like this player was that big. Like like seeing Arch Manning in person the very first time I was like, this dude is like he's big, he's thick. Like what's like
Yeah.
a moment of like wow, like or just some sort of realization you've had being down on the field.
Yeah, that's a great question. It is usually about the size of players. And I will say this, sometimes we're like, wow, that guy's smaller than we expected. Sometimes people play bigger on TV somehow. But I think too, like, we actually glean a lot from being down there and seeing the energy of both sides. And oftentimes in those shows where we are there for pregame warmups, I'll ask the guys, like, okay, what sense are you getting? Certainly former players who have been on those fields in those moments and before big games, or know that so well. Like, sometimes they can sense the energy of people and figure it out. I was surprised too about Arch Manning's size when I that didn't happen like in a warm up situation, but when I was at practice, I was like, golly, he's bigger than what you would think. Maybe just watching him on TV. And I'm trying to think of another example of somebody, but maybe Ty Simpson. I was on the
Hmm.
field. I did the Alabama Georgia game, and I was on Georgia's sideline, but we were, midfield for pregame warmups, and Ty Simpson's bigger than you realize. And really, like, I mean, now we've seen it more on display, but I think people didn't realize how athletic he is, and just the variety of skill set that he possesses at the quarterback spot. So he's another candidate for somebody that, kind of surprises you when you see him.
Last one before I get you out of here with some rapid fire. One of your SEC Nation co-hosts, he's potentially going to be stepping into a different role than what was expected. And I was, just curious if you had any thoughts on potentially, and we don't know if this is going to happen yet, but like if Jordan Rodgers is going to be a stay-at-home dad, like if that's just something that, like what would be your thoughts if like he just kind of went in a different direction and was like, oh, this football thing isn't for me anymore.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's funny because knowing Jordan, I know that he really loves this and he is so excited to be a dad. And he and JoJo are just going to be awesome parents. Like, I'm so thrilled for them. And it's just really cool. It's like so fun watching people who I consider really good friends. I mean, Tim and Demi, just had baby Daphne. So we've kind of seen them go through it. And now Jordan and JoJo. What I know about Jordan, though, is that he really loves football. So, as much as he's going to love this child and they're going to be amazing parents, I don't see him being a stay-at-home dad. I think he'll maybe find ways to spend as much time at home as possible, but he's probably still gonna do the football thing as much as he can.
There was like a 1% chance you thought I was going in that direction. That's
That
okay.
did you see
Yeah.
my face? I was like,
Yeah.
interesting. You know what I thought I was gonna do? Here was my plan. I was just gonna take a bite of my slider.
You know what? I
Sorry, I
I
can't
need
talk.
I need a tray of honey baked sliders
Yes,
just to be
you
able to
do.
answer that question because I've already been asked that question so far. Yeah, and jokes aside, like for what it's worth, Jordan is not actually considered that. I like texted him right when he made the announcement and stuff like that, which is like so happy for him.
Oh, he's the
He's the
best.
best.
I'm
He's
so
gonna be
pumped for
awesome for it.
them. It's
Um,
awesome.
Let's get you out of here with some rapid fire. Just 5 questions. First thing that comes to
Nice.
mind. And by the way, these are only food questions because obviously we're talking honey baked ham. Does that work for you?
Love that.
All right. So you've been asked this before, but what is a Dan Orlovsky food take that has actually grown on you?
Oh, Dan likes Mentos, and I like Mentos, but he likes the strawberry kind. So I agree with that.
That's basically a Starburst at this point, if we're being
Yeah,
honest.
there
Mentos is mint.
it's not a mint, right? It's just a candy.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of candy, what's the Halloween candy that you're going to steal the most from your kids?
Oh, I love those mini Snicker bars. Because then you're like, oh, I didn't really eat a whole Snicker bar. I guess 5 or 6 later you kind of did, which is what I do. But yeah.
That's the correct answer. Um, Lemonade, sweet tea, or a little Arnold Palmer mix.
Ooh, I'm gonna go sweet tea. I recently had some somewhere we work for SEC Nation. And I was like, dang, this is good. I forgot
When
about sweet tea.
when it hits right, it's very, very
It
good.
does, right?
What's your favorite restaurant to eat at in the SEC?
Ooh, that's a hmm. I'm gonna say Chuck's Fish in Tuscaloosa. It is just a classic and it's always so good. They actually have great sushi, really fresh fish. They get everything from the Panhandle, like Destin area, I think. So yeah, Chuck's is great.
I think they did sushi for game day this past
Yes,
week.
they did. And you probably saw Kirk Herbstreit
Just
couldn't,
eating
sorry,
his.
Kirk, I'm shouting you out. The Ohio in him, he didn't know how to use chopsticks, which chopsticks can get you now, you know? If you don't have the right leverage, you're in a pickle.
It's you just gotta spend a little time with it. You figure it out.
Yeah.
Herb, you'll be just fine. Yeah. All right. Last
Right.
one for you. When you show up at someone's house for Thanksgiving, what's a kind way to tell them that, ooh, that's a you shouldn't have had turkey in there. They messed up. They should have had honey baked ham.
I just show up with a honey baked ham
Yeah,
with the
that's it.
bone in half ham. It's got the glaze on it. It's so good. And everyone eats that. And everyone's like, oh, man. They also have great turkey. So you could bring some turkey if you're really a turkey person. The turkey is delish.
That's a good answer. Just bring your own. It's
Just bring
just
your own. Oh, whoops. Sorry.
yeah.
You're not going to
Oh,
say no. Everyone's
got
going to
this
be like,
whole
that's
ham.
great. Right.
Yeah. Laura, really appreciate the time. Best of luck. I know your schedule is nonstop. You've been all over the place. So I know you got a lot of fun stuff coming up this football season.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I hope we cross paths one of these places. I know we were in Gainesville together last week. I didn't even see you. So you got to
I
let me know where you are.
I gotta be there for SEC Nation. That was a mistake on my part. I'm like,
Come see
trying to,
us.
you know how it is. I was like, I'm gonna drive there at 11 in the morning. I'm driving from
Yeah.
Orlando. I want to do the parenting thing in the morning, and then
Okay, I
get there.
support that. I
Yeah,
support that. But
yeah,
when you're not doing that, let us know. We'd love to have
definitely.
you.
Will do. Appreciate it, Laura.